Hey everybody, welcome back to Annuity Fundamentals. My name is Kylie Malott. I'm joined with Ryan Anderson and Scotty G. Today we have the Annuity Fundamentals team. So we're excited to talk to you. If you're new to annuities, this is going to be the perfect episode for you. We are talking about the first year getting into the annuity game and what to expect and things that we did and mistakes that we made, so you don't have to make them on your first year. So we're excited to have you today, and we'll go from there.
All right. So I want to introduce our partner, Scott Groskreutz. He is the president of SG Financial out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And we just kind of want to, you guys are familiar with Kylie and I. You see our episodes on this on a regular basis. And Kylie and I are the two primary instructors and managing partners for Annuity Fundamentals. Scotty is also one of the partners in that organization, and he has a very special role. He is an investment advisor representative, but he is also our high net worth guy. He is the one that goes through and deals with the more high net worth clients. He can and specializes in that realm. And as we were talking, we all kind of started at the same place. We all came into business as Medicare agents. We all came in as in captive situations, very similar background. I was in Southern Idaho, Scotty. I think you started in Florida. And Kylie, you started up in Washington, Northern Idaho. So very different geographic areas, but a very similar path. So, Scotty, why don't you let's start talking about that first year and how we moved from health to wealth. Tell us your story. We've not heard from you as far as, and you've done a few episodes with us and that great interview with Dr. Pfau. Talk to us a little bit about, how you got into this business. Just kind of, we've never heard your story.
I liked his sigh. I think that's going to give us a good sign of where this is going.
I think anybody that gets in this business, it's never a smooth thing, right? And I will just say, I came we'll back up. So before I even came into retirement planning, I worked for a large corporation in the telecom space, and so I had a team of like 500-600 people. I was used to like regimented training curriculums, very defined coursework on how to onboard somebody. And when I went to this industry, there was nothing like this, right? And of course, a lot of promises, but really how it plays out, it doesn't play out anything like how you intended it. And so I made that transition. So I started with Medicare like everybody else and got my insurance license and worked with a hybrid captive setting where I had a manager in the office and we were just making calls all day long. And so my entry to the business was going out on Medicare appointments, closing some, not closing others, trying to do what's right for the client. Sometimes they're on the best plan. And here's the thing. I found out really quickly, like this is a long-term strategy. Like build your book of business. You have things like AEP where you're not going to get paid right away, right? So you're doing all this business to help like funnel your money in. And then you have like where you change a client's plan because they have an open enrollment situation. And then you only get a proration of that year. And I'm like, where's the revenue? Like I'm driving out to the client. I'm spending an hour and a half going through drugs, doctors, copays, all that stuff. Like I'm going through all this. I cannot believe where's like the bump up in commissions. It wasn't there. And I just looked at all the other agents around me in the office and I'm like, how are they even making any money? How are they paying for their gas? It was just like a big mystery to me on how they even got through the first year. And so I'd ask questions like, hey, what'd you do in your first year? Oh, I mowed lawns. Or what'd you do in your first year? Oh, I had a part-time job at, Winn-Dixie, or, I mean, what I heard it all, right? And I'm like, I came from an environment earning great income and now I'm at zero and now I'm doing these Medicare appointments and I'm like, this commission is a joke. And so I looked at it, how long would I have to sustain myself in this type of commission environment? And what could I do to cross-sell in the interim to help have a bump up of my compensation? Are there any ways I could serve? And so I kind of knew the answer it was all annuity. And I'd see these new agents just focusing on Medicare. And I was like, there's no way. Now, my goal in this particular hybrid captive agency was I had to stay there 2 years in order to keep my residual. And I didn't have the patience for that. I wanted to do my own thing, be completely independent. And so I started building my book in Medicare, but realizing that my real short-term goal should be the annuities. And so I focused on that. And there was a file that was distributed in the office one day, and it had all the previous annuity clients over the last 15 years. And I went and I door knocked these clients, literally said, you have an annuity with us. I doubt it's been serviced. I need to take a look at it. And that's where my first couple annuities came from. There was a door knock I did with a regular Medicare client who didn't have any annuities, and I did an annuity with them off a door knock. Right. And so, in my first 10 months, I did $750,000, $800,000 in annuity premium. And had I not done that, I would have failed out. There was just no way, having 3 kids, I could have kept the lights on at home. And all of you that are in this business and you're trying to get above that 6-figure income with Medicare, and it's a hustle during AEP. But it's really important to realize you're leaving so much opportunity on the table even if you're not in your first year, but more importantly, when you're in your first year, I don't know how you're going to survive just off of building your book, 50, 60 people, 100 people, you just won't. And so what I see is when you're working and you're starting out in the Medicare business, you really need to really put your foot out there and really have those conversations, because it can dramatically affect your income. And while it's laborious, I promise you, and I tell this to people all the time, and I don't know if you agree, Ryan, Kylie, but in my opinion, basic annuity from presenting to closing is much less work from beginning and ending, from getting the contracting, doing the training, all that stuff, much less work than doing even a Medicare Advantage plan.
Oh, okay. Let me jump in on that one right here. By the time we
did I just crack some heads?
Oh, dude, you cracked some eggs, and you just like, okay, so we've got AHIP, we've got the certification for the company, we've got
each company,
then we've got the annual whatever that we've got to go through and do the compliance piece to it. Or you have the proper recording for your phone calls. Do you understand the rules on a scope this year compared to ever? Oh yeah. But think about that, and the thing of the effort, even if we say they're equal, or heck, let's just say it's 3 times as hard to do an annuity, the commission or the compensation's 20 times, 30 times more. But you really hit a nerve with me, and I can't wait for when Kylie talks here in a second, tells about her first year, the difference that my first year in the business. All right, I don't think I've ever shared this story in any one of our episodes previously. But I'd come through, I'd been the vice president of a computer company. I moved, got laid off, and got started on that. And I had a couple of other positions I was interviewing for. And this insurance company that I'd met with, I'd seen them at job fairs a couple of times. In fact, the first time I went up to this job fair, and I had went up there and I looked at him, and I met the James Case, who was actually a dear friend and a guest we've had on the episode in the past. He looked at me and I said, what kind of company are you? I said, oh, we're insurance. And I was like, no, never mind. And I turned my back and I took a step away, and he's like, whoa, no, you slow your roll. I will not let you do that. He physically turned me around and said, no, you're talking to me now. And we visited for a few minutes, and then I met with him someplace else a year later or something. But it was several years of visiting and crossing paths before I was willing to even entertain the industry. But getting into that, I started at the beginning of AEP, and I'd received an inheritance from when my grandfather passed away a few months previous to that. And if I hadn't had that lump of sum in the bank that carried me through my first year, I was married. I was in my early 40s. I had 5 kids. I had a mortgage, and I was the sole breadwinner. And it was literally going from, $200,000 a year to commissioned only. Holy
$300
cow.
a pop,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
more
And
or
then
less.
and then
If
to make
that.
yeah, then to make matters worse, how did they what was that? What did that guy call me? He was the oh, not the I am I can't remember what he called, but I was the master of the small cases or something like that. It was some name. It was it'll come to me in a minute, but I could sell an indemnity, a dental plan, a home, 120 bucks a pop all day long. And I could sell these things. Oh, I majored in the minors. That's what they said. I majored in the minors. But you're right. At the end of that first quarter, I had made, I don't know, 30 grand or something like that in the first, 6 months or whatever it might have been. But I had worked so freaking hard. That was my top line revenue. And then trying to figure out the cost for the leads, the cost for gas, the cost for I've never calculated that because I'm sure it would put me at a negative. But couldn't even spell annuity. Now, compare your story to my story. Now, Kylie, how did you get started in the business?
You know what? I'm glad you asked, because if it weren't for annuities, I wouldn't be here. And that's just the truth. Because Medicare, doing it solo, just Medicare, how do you make a living? I mean, I was lucky enough that annuities were new into our office. So I was one of the first getting trained on how to sell an annuity. You guys had sold 700,000 in the previous year without me. And then when I came on, it was this big annuity push, and that intimidated me, but I had no idea what Medicare was. So who cares about an annuity? I mean, I was brand new. I had no idea what anything was going on. I just saw unlimited potential and that I could make as much money as I could, right? And so I quickly learned, you're right. Oh, leads, miles. I go to a house, I spend an hour and a half there, and I leave with $300, $400 a pop. Well, that's great, but that doesn't get you a life. That's not living, right? That's the grind. And I'm so tired of that word. Oh, you got to put through the grind. Gosh. So no, I focused on annuities. Like, my first appointments were, I was doing annuity tee-ups. Like, I didn't know any better, because that's how I started training. And I think that's everything. I didn't know any better. We have so many people coming through our class who have been doing Medicare for so long, and then they just stop with Medicare. They're leaving so much on the table, and you don't even know what leaving so much on the table is until you close an annuity, you get that paycheck, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm leaving so much money on the table. That's what that means. My commission went from $275 to $12,000. How did I do this? I just sat there. My first couple of months, I just sat there and let you do all the work, and I got 50-50.
Yeah, that
Well,
really
and
that really
it's
warmed
not
my
like-
heart to give you half that paycheck every time.
I just
too.
want to
not bitter at all.
I just want to reiterate, though, we're not saying like don't do Medicare, right? That's not the messaging. I just want to like confirm. We're not saying don't do Medicare. We're not saying Medicare sucks. It doesn't suck. It's one of the best ways you can build a book of business.
It's good for residual
and
income.
really help clients. Right, right.
It has a
not
purpose.
that it's bad, right? It's just that if here's the thing, it's like you design your life how you want to live it. Why do people fail out? Like, they fail out because they didn't have enough long of a runway. Basically, the effort and the time they were spending, they weren't getting the income necessary to have enough success to sustain their life, right? So it's like, and the other side is, the other reason why I think people fail out is because they've created an environment that they hate. Like, I looked at my environment and I hated being on the phone. I equated, like, I had to be on the phone like 3 to 4 hours for every appointment that I was doing, because it took that long to secure appointment. And then you had no shows, right? So do I want to spend 3 to 4 hours, then go on an appointment and do that over and over again? I said, as soon as I get the revenue, as soon as I get my income where it needs to, as soon as I get my nest egg where it needs to be to invest more in my business, I'm going to create a strategy where I can get more clients at a more consistent basis. And I don't have to spend 3 or 4 hours on the phone to meet with each client. And so people don't think about, like, the reason why you are on that edge, right, where you may fail out is because you didn't realize the sacrifice it would take to get there. And you've realized and come to that kind of affirmation and saying, you know what? It's not worth it. It's not worth it to suck away my soul. Right. Okay. So it's like if it's soul crushing, is it worth any amount of money? Right.
No.
Is it that? For me, I was like, I did not leave a great paying career in corporate America to be on the phone hustling people for appointments 4 hours a day. So my point is design your life where you design your employment, design your cadence, design your prospecting in a way. And that, you guys do that with the lead shop and to help support agents so they do get prospects in front of them. Mm-hmm. But it's design your business where you won't hate your life. And I can promise you, there's less effective ways that people are doing in Medicare and getting clients, and they could do something else that's way more effective for their time, but they hate doing those things. I had a guy in my office. This is crazy. He says to me, Scotty, I love calling people and getting appointments. I love cold calling. I'm like, you are a freak of nature. Nobody likes cold calling.
He's lying. You know that, right? He's lying.
No, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. But he was not lying. He was serious about it. And so for him, his what I would say his climb to success wasn't that bad because that's how they prospected. They made cold calls. And that's how they did that in that office. But I knew that my climb towards success, if I did that, I would not have success because I hated my life. Okay. So what my recommendation is, do things that create the environment, do the type of prospecting that speaks to you. Because if you're not doing the right prospecting mechanism, it's going to hurt your soul. That's going to transition into how you serve your clients. You're not going to be happy. And if you really are enjoying your work, it's going to translate and you're going to get higher sales from it. You're going to be able to help more people in an impactful way because what you're doing is, what you want to be doing. I do a lot of workshops because I found I hate making cold calls. I hate calling clients to confirm. So I do a workshop. I get a whole bunch of people in a room. I book appointments right then and there. I'm not a phone person. And it's very rare. I have to call someone and remind them about appointment because I have a system, a structure in place that allows them to do that. This all provides a better work environment for me. So I enjoy what I do and I can focus my efforts on where it's impactful. So, everyone's route is different. Everyone's preferences are different. Design your business the way that is best suited for you and a lot of the grunt work, the heavy lifting is on prospecting. So, all these things that we can help, I think we've, Ryan, you've tried almost everything under the sun in terms of prospecting. I have too. Kylie, you have. So we're a great resource for you when it comes to not just prospecting for Medicare, but prospecting for annuity, life insurance. We can really help link you up and really design something for you that really speaks to you, something that is going to put you in the right frame of mind and also get you the clients you need to serve.
I've sit here and the thing about it is I started in this business, it's been over 10 years now, and times have changed. I remember when I was brand new, it was the power, 2 hours of power. 2 hours of power. And every day on Tuesdays and Fridays, we'd hit the office, and from 9 to noon or 9 to 11 or whatever, it was like a 2 or 3 hour window there, whatever it was, we were dialing for dollars. We had our list. It was you dial and go, dial and go. We don't chit chat. There's no walking around. It's not a time to rewrite your scripts. It's not a time to everybody come up with some way to do it because we all hated it, but we were dialing for dollars. And if somebody got an appointment, you dinged, you yelled, and we had a little mini party with that. But I remember back then though, and here's the difference. 10 years ago, I could sit on the phone twice a week for between 2 and 3 hours. We'll say 6 hours a week. I don't think it was quite that long, but we'll say 6 hours a week. And I could fill my schedule of between 15 and 20 appointments a week in my local area where I would drive out to their house and see 5, 6 people on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And that's just how, and I could do that. And thing about it, and I wasn't the only one that did it. The whole office did. And we just sat down and we grounded out between the different kinds of leads we had. And then over the next few years, we saw that the phones became less and less efficient, and we really struggled with that. So then we moved to door knocking. And we took the same leads. We would go out and we could take a list of 10, 15 leads and go out and beat on the door, and still it'd take a little bit longer because of drive time. I think I averaged like 7 doors an hour, 6 doors an hour, something like that. If I had a list I was working through, we'd set appointments, worked great, but then that became less efficient. Then COVID happened, and all of a sudden that one you see online, you can't even go on watch TV anymore without some celebrity sitting there telling you that you've got benefits, you've not, those guys. And so now nobody wants to answer their phone, and it's tough. So getting in front of people is hard. And if you get in front of somebody and you're there for Medicare, which is a wonderful gateway approach, and you are not doing an annuity tee-up, you are not getting a life insurance policy, you are not doing an indemnity, there 3 or 4 things is equal as a result of that. You're not doing your client the service they deserve. You're not doing yourself and your family the thing that they deserve, and you are leaving a tremendous amount of opportunity out there. And that client is now exposed because if somebody else comes in right behind you and says, "Oh, let me take care of your final expense. Oh, I also do Medicare." Replace your Medicare. They've got 2, 3 products in the home. You just had the one. You're easily replaced. And so by going through and whatever method an agent's using to get in front of people, and if they are not going through and again using everything that they do to truly help that client, excuse me, if they're not doing everything they can, and oddly enough, it is really, really simple. And I mean, Kylie and I teach a class where we talk about the key 3. And it is so foundational. I mean, that we have a Medicare agent come in and we say, "How do you introduce yourself?" Well, I call them, I figure out who their drugs and their doctor is, and then I go there and I sit there and I was like, "Okay, I've done some homework. My name's Ryan, and this is the Medicare plan I think is right for you." And they sell them a Medicare plan. I was like, "That's wrong. That's straight up wrong." I mean, Kylie, you've been in these classes. Talk to us about a little bit about the key 3 things. It's like, what is the agents when they come in, their lights come on when they see this stuff? I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about setting up expectations. What we're trying to say at the end of it is your first year can be as hard or as easy as you want it to be. It depends on how you want to work it. If you want to just do Medicare, can you and be successful? Yes, but are you going to get the revenue that maybe you were thinking you would get in the first year? Probably not, because things that worked 10 years ago that agents could make that kind of money just aren't working, like Ryan said. So when you go into an appointment, you want to maximize that opportunity, not only for you, but for them as well, right? Like they're going in and yeah, they've had plenty of conversations getting to retirement. Let's get to retirement. Let's say 4 retirement. But when they get to retirement, how do they get through it? They don't talk about that very much. So that's when we come in and we help educate them. They have no idea what Medicare is really. They have a general idea, but they don't know how it actually affects them. So if you set up the appointment, that's rare, right? That's hard to get. So you don't want to mess it up. So when you go in, you have to properly introduce yourself. Who are you? Who are you with? What market do you serve? What areas do you specialize in? And what are you about? That's your opportunity to take that appointment and take control and say, "Okay, my name's Kylie. This is who I work with. These are the companies that I write for. This is what I'm able to do for you. And here's what I specialize in." And one of those is asset protection. I mean, if you're just going in there as the Medicare guy or the Medicare gal, that's all they'll ever see you as. So that company introduction really sets you up to get into the money, to have those conversations. So they're not just saying, "Well, that came out of nowhere. I thought you were my Medicare guy. Why are you asking me about how much money I have? What does that have to do with anything?" Right? So we teach them, we instruct them, "Okay, this is how you properly introduce yourself. This is how, okay, once you've done that, and that should take 2 to 3 minutes, once you told them what you do, then you go directly into asking questions pertaining to what you do. Because if you can help them in one area, maybe you can help them in 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4, right? And if you just go in there as the Medicare guy, you'll never see the life insurance opportunity. You'll never see the long-term care opportunity. You'll never see the financial services opportunity. Those opportunities will just stay And that's when I say that's when you leave money at the table. You're not even talking about it, even though they need the help. Most people in their portfolio, if we're being completely honest, if you're just sitting there, you go to an appointment, most people have $250,000 saved for retirement. I would say that's a pretty good ballpark of an average, especially in the area that I serve, 250 to maybe 500,000. We all know that's not going to last you for 30 years. I mean, we just talked about longevity, right? The reason they chose 65 to be retirement age is because that's when they thought you were going to pass away. That was the life expectancy. And that's just the truth about it. That's no longer the case. Now we're 65 and people are living into their 90s, even in their late 90s. So that's a 30-year gap that we now have to solve for $250,000. I mean, people need our help. They need this conversation. It's just about opening your mouth, getting out of your own way, and getting into that space. That will make, just by doing that and asking for those financial questions, that could make or break your first year. I was told over and over, your first year is like crawling over broken glass. That's true. That also set up my expectations of, hey, this is going to be hard, so buckle up. But I'm the type of person, I'm all about the long game. If I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, then I can work to get to the light. But in this industry, training is really hard to come by. Annuity training, nearly impossible. On a well-rounded annuity training, right? So that's what Annuity Fundamentals is. We focus on the fundamentals to get into the annuity conversation. So that's the entire point of our class. Those 6 weeks, let's introduce yourself properly. Let's ask the questions, when to ask the questions, how to ask the questions. Especially if it's a Medicare appointment, you need to be careful because it's a scoped appointment 9 times out of 10. And then we get into that asking for that second appointment or that second visit to come back and have the financial conversation. So as much as people want to start making the 50, 60, grand commissions, it takes steps to get there. So let's start with the fundamentals. Let's start with the basics. So let's start with the 6-week course. And that will take people like you, like me, right? Barely starting out. I had no idea what's going on. Let's get into the annuity space. How? We are the how. So join us in our class, get the fundamentals down, and then soon you won't be calling us to say, hey, what do I do now? You'll already know. You'll have those fundamentals. You'll put your shoes on the same way we do. You'll say the same things we do. And then that will lead you to an entirely different appointment, an entirely different career path.
I think the cool thing is, our team is here to support you. And we are not just instructors. We've all walked in your shoes. We've all been in the house with clients doing Medicare. We know what it's like. We know the challenges. We know the distractions. We know the questions that clients will share with. We know the struggle, right? We've all lived that struggle. We know what it's like. Up until just 12 months ago, I was AHIP certified. I was doing Medicare. I am too busy now with my existing client base to do Medicare for my clients. So I just referred that out. But, we've all done this. We are active producers. We walk the talk the talk. We know the challenges. We know the conversations, what they sound like. We've had these conversations. We've talked. We know what it's like to transition, like Kylie was talking about earlier. All these things, we're here. We're active producers. I think some of the biggest value we provide to agents who are looking to really improve their income forecast through annuity sales is you can reach out to us. If you have certain questions, you have a certain case you want to talk through, you work with an IMO sometimes or a marketer. They've never been in the field. They may have never had a client interaction. Maybe have never had an annuity with their name on as the agent. Right. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we found that, right. So a marketer may not have the sales experience that we have. And so they may offer the product, talk about how the workings of it, how they work, but they're not going to talk about how do you present this to a client, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to go through all the mechanics of parts, caps and spreads, or how this rider works and why this roll up is better in income. No, you're not going to get into the weeds on that, but a marketer may tell you that. And if you just regurgitate that to the client, it's not going to be a good experience. They're going to get confused. And so we're here as experts for you to help aid you to get your first piece of business submitted so you get the confidence. It's all a mental mindset. Kylie, when we did the training in St. George, I had someone come up to me and say, Scott, I just feel like it'd be just a whole different conversation to talk about annuities because it'd be something extra I need to do. And I don't know. It's overwhelming, and my answer to that was like, well, I understand how it's overwhelming, but I want you to rewind. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, rewind. Go back to your first day. And when you did Medicare and you learned and you did AHIP and did all the trainings, and then you got in the home and you relied on all the tools in order to do a Medicare Advantage plan. How did you feel then? Well, I felt the same way. Okay. So give yourself a break, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You throw yourself a break, right? Because we all feel that. And the quicker you can push through that feeling of being inadequate, the quicker you'll have success. Because I promise you, as a new agent that's presenting annuities, and you go through the first course with Ryan and Kylie and the team, and you go through these first courses, you will know more than 99.9% of the prospects you will meet with. You may even know more about annuities than a financial advisor that's been in the industry working on mutual funds, stocks, bonds with clients over the past 15 years. You probably will learn more and know more. So rip it out. Those are artificial boundaries that have no place in presenting annuities. And it's okay. It's okay if you don't know it all, but I promise you, you'll be the most knowledgeable person in the room, and that will get you to a point where you can really improve the life of your client and their retirement outlook. So,
thank you, Scott. I appreciate this. So here, just kind of as a winding down here in this last couple of minutes, just want to do a quick recap here. So the first year's hard. And the big thing is that we want to make sure is that I remember when we were new in the business, our manager was always telling us, you've got to be holistic in the home. You've got to make sure that you're taking care of your clients. And at the time I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. I just kind of halfway listened. But as I have gotten more experience and more seasoned in the business, there's truth to that. So as we're going in there, those appointments are really precious. They are a lot harder to get than they used to be. If you are not getting into all of these other areas, specifically the financial services, you are literally leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table that will benefit you and your family and will protect your clients. So going through and in that first year, if you want to make it through the first year, and it was it the 8% survive? So there's a 92% failure rate in the career you've chosen. And if you want to be part of that 8%, annuities are the way to do it. And I got to tell you that I've met with a lot of agents, Kylie being one of them, who are extremely talented, extremely gifted agents that annuities saved their careers. And I feel terrible. I've lost sleep over the fact that there are a lot of agents that were in my team before Kylie came on, before we figured this annuity thing out, that did not make it in the business. And I think it's because we did not give them the income they were promised. And I think if I would have had the annuity thing figured out sooner, we'd have a lot more successful agents in this industry. This really is, I don't want to call it it's not a silver bullet or the magic thing out there, because I don't believe that. But this is one tool that will significantly increase your ability to be successful.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. We've had a great chat. I mean, the first year can be hard, but we know how to make it less hard, and that's with annuities entering the game. So please put your comments below. I mean, your questions, they all matter. Like Scott said, we're here for you. We're here to serve. We're here to answer questions. We want you to be successful. So put your comments in below. We'll get those answered for you. And thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.